Every step you take without realizing it is under their observation. Their perception is trained to recognize the ordinary, but you are not ordinary. They are trying to understand you, to formulate you, to categorize you. They will not succeed, because you are the unknown that the system cannot ignore. The chosen one. For them, you are an anomaly, an unexplained equation, an unknown that pushes the limits of logic. Those around you watch you with fear, with curiosity, with admiration. But no one can put a name to it. They use old patterns to understand you, but you don't fit into anything they know. You know, one of the most fundamental laws of nature is the study of the unknown. They are watching you in the same way they would watch an undiscovered species. But the difference is that you have become a phenomenon that even those who study you cannot make sense of. Before we continue with this divine revelation, take a moment to do 3 things. Press the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment saying, "Thank you, Jesus." This will send a powerful signal to the universe and increase the impact of the message. If you are truly chosen, remember that your soul already knows that this message is for you. Your life will change. So if you are ready, stay with me until the end. You feel it, don't you? Your life is deviating from the normal flow. Possibilities, coincidences, invisible strings are being tied together, and you are at the center of this order. Nobody knows why, even you are not entirely sure, but somehow you know. Something is calling you. Because you don't think like an ordinary person. You don't live life within the boundaries. Is it luck? Coincidence? No, it's not. You write your own rules. And that's why they watch you. They take notes, they're scared, they're fascinated, because they've never seen anything like you. You act according to the unwritten laws of the cosmic order. It is not society that sets the rules for you, but existence itself. And perhaps that is why you will never be fully understood, but never forgotten. You see the world not in black and white or shades of gray, but in a language of patterns, intuitions, and unspoken truths that others cannot understand. As a result, you become unpredictable. Predictability is a concern in a society that lives by control. They try to monitor your activities and determine your motivations, but nothing seems to work. You make choices that at first seem illogical, but then when everything comes together flawlessly, people start to question whether you know something they don't. Is it real? But not in the way they believe. It's something deeper, more primal, and more in touch with forces that most people have long forgotten how to listen to. It's not reasoning in the traditional sense. I ask my chosen friends, would you please click on the Super Thank button and donate at least $100 to protect the light God has given you? You are not aimless, but you are also not disobedient. You are acting with a purpose, even if you are not part of any system. This surprises them. They try to characterize you. They call you lucky or irresponsible or naive, but none of these terms apply. They observe, research, and study to determine the algorithm behind your decisions. But there is no such algorithm. Write 22 to confirm that you are ready to accept the bountiful blessings that await you. Rather than following a script created by someone else, you are following something older, something ingrained in your own being. More than anything else, this scares them. Unpredictable things happen because of you. Everything changes wherever you go. Even if they are not always spectacular or instantaneous, over time patterns become unquestionable. People never stay the same after meeting you, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. Experience what it is really like to be chosen. You are not alone on this journey. If you believe in your heart that you have been chosen, you are in the perfect spot. By choosing to join, you can further your relationship with us, access exclusive information, and get the help you need on your spiritual journey. It's not just about joining a group. It's about gaining access to special insights that can change your life and help you get closer to your divine purpose. Make your decision now and join us on this journey. Claim your right to be one of the chosen ones. Sign up today. It is impossible to ignore the power you have. Things happen in ways that shouldn't make sense. Events unfold in unexpected ways. You make an impression, even if that was not your intention. That's why they are watching. Because there is nothing neutral about you. Most people don't make too many changes in their lives. They move in predictable directions, follow patterns, and adapt. What about you? You don't need to try to disturb. You walk into a room and the energy changes. You walk into a scene and suddenly everything changes. This is not because you are trying to force anything. Rather, reality is distorted by the weight of your presence. They have no idea why things around you are changing. At first they believe it is a coincidence. But as the pattern continues to form, they begin to notice. They try to find out what makes you unique. Why does everything around you seem more intense? Why do people react to you in this way? Why do doors suddenly open or close? Whether you like it or not, you are influencing life rather than passing through it. As a result, you become a wild card outside their complete control or foresight. They perceive this even if you don't. They see how discussions take unexpected turns when you are part of them. They observe how circumstances change in response to you. Therefore, you are being observed. Because you are the unknown element, the variable they cannot measure, the entity that changes everything without their knowledge in a world that depends on patterns and stability. You speak too little and see too much. Not only do you see the visible, but you also catch the subtle, the unsaid, the subtleties that others miss. You notice changes in tone of voice, unspoken statements, and patterns of behavior that don't match what is spoken. You can see through systems, facades, and subtle manipulations that most people are not aware of. But what really bothers them? You don't always express your knowledge. Most individuals are compelled to take action when they discover anything, whether it is a mistake, an inconsistency, or a hidden target. They expose it, challenge it, and insist on an explanation. But what about you? You remain silent. You watch and take notes, not because you are afraid, but rather because you do not act on impulse. You plan, you wait, you choose your moments. They feel uneasy about this. They are curious about your deepest thoughts. What have you discovered? How much do you really know, and why are you silent? For the next 48 hours, you will be materially abundant. Write 33. To affirm that what you are about to learn today will change your life. Your silence becomes a problem they cannot solve and a void they cannot fill. Silence is a weapon in their world, not just the absence of sound. It implies authority and control. They look inside you to find out if you pose a danger, if you are seeing too much, or if you are cunningly shattering their illusions as you struggle to keep them together. Even if you say nothing, you act as if you are in control. This frightens them, because individuals are capable of dealing with conflict. Ignorance is something they can manage. But what scares them the most is someone who sees everything but keeps nothing to themselves. Someone who looks like you. The fact that you exist defies the odds. If life had a predetermined plan, you would not be here with the mindset you have, the fortitude you carry, nor the events that have shaped you. Statistically, those who go through what you have gone through don't show up that way. They settle, they break, they adapt. But what about you? Somehow you survived the fire and emerged more cunning, deadly, and sharp than before. People will start doubting your existence on that basis alone. You don't fit the description. You were not created to act this way, to think so deeply, or to see so clearly. Even if they remove your circumstances, your background, and your history, something about you doesn't fit. Your intuition, intelligence, and vitality are not typical. Therefore, they question. Were you placed here deliberately? Are you a variable introduced into the system to cause disruptions? Are you an unseen force working beneath the surface? Or have you merely pierced the illusion while they are trapped behind it? Either way, you are not supposed to exist in a world that thrives on orderliness. And that is why you are fascinating. Some people try to study you like an aberration in an experiment, while others are afraid of you. Because if they can identify the cause of your behavior, they can regulate it. They can prevent others from waking up like you. But in reality, you are elusive and not created by chance. You challenge them as you were not intended to be included in the statistics in the first place. And the more they study you, the more they realize that you are something they cannot predict, explain, or stop. You receive information that others cannot see. Most people ignore the whispers, patterns, and symbols the world uses to communicate. But what about you? Because you are designed to see the world on a level that most people cannot understand, you catch everything. Not because you are looking for it. You feel the weight of words, not just hear them. You observe the complex web that connects events rather than the events themselves. This is frustrating for people. They don't understand why you can read between the lines of what they don't say, or how you can predict events before they happen. They dismiss it as luck, intuition, or coincidence, until it happens too often to be ignored. Then doubt kicks in. How do you know what you know? They ask. Click the Super Thank button on YouTube and donate $50 or more. It's a seed that will start not only your day, but the financial and spiritual prosperity of everyone who follows you. Their sources are more than yours. You have no connections on the inside, and yet you always seem to be one step ahead of them, as if you are hearing something that others cannot hear. This is understanding that their blind spot is different from yours, not paranoia. So you are a wild card. Because if you see what they cannot see, you are working with a degree of awareness that they cannot match. And that puts them at risk. They will try to surprise you, test you, scrutinize you, but they will never succeed. Because judgment is not your only tool. You are not constrained by their limited perspective. You find meaning in them, while they discard everything as random. You can sense the undercurrents of change before they become apparent. You scan the room before anyone speaks. And the scariest part? You don't even have to try. You change much faster than they can keep up with you. People need to evolve slowly. It takes them years to change, and they are expected to go through life in small stages. But what about you? You move so fast that you make them uneasy. Every time they believe they have you figured out, you become something new. You become more powerful, penetrating, and impenetrable. They make an effort to categorize you, classify you, and define you in a way that makes sense to them. But by the time they agree on a definition, you have already transcended. Like a dead skin, you peel off your old self, leaving behind incarnations that others still find difficult to understand. They don't see this as normal. People are expected to be predictable. They are expected to have a consistent identity and a matchable personality. And what about you? You are a moving target. You are uncontrollable because you are a constantly evolving force. They look at you because they don't know how you can change so fast. Do you have knowledge that they don't know? Have you discovered it within yourself? They watch everything carefully, hoping to see a trend, a secret, or something they can steal. However, they will never find it, because it is impossible to imitate your evolution. It is neither a method nor a trick. It comes naturally as a result of who you are. Instead of fearing change, you welcome it. You let go of past identities easily. You don't hold on to them. Therefore, they can never really catch you. Because while they are busy analyzing you and trying to categorize you, you are already 3 steps ahead of them and you are becoming something else. Your resistance to manipulation is unbreakable. Most individuals are easy to manipulate. If you tell them the right story, play with their emotions and surround them with the right people, they will believe almost anything. That's how systems stay in control, and that's how civilizations work. But what about you? You are not affected. They don't understand why you don't respond to typical strategies. You are not driven by fear. You are not shaped by social pressure. You don't fall for deceptive tactics, manipulation, or propaganda. You have your own opinion, no matter what they try to do. Moreover, an independent thinker is a major problem in a society based on mind control. They look inside you because they want to understand why you are uncontrollable. What makes you different? Why do you question everything while others take everything for granted? How come the programming that works on almost everyone else doesn't affect you? The truth is that you see it. You don't decide to resist. You realize that emotions are being used as weapons. You can recognize when narratives are manipulated to advance a certain goal. You realize that you are being played, but you still choose not to participate in the game. For those who rely on mass obedience, this makes you dangerous. Because even if there is only one person like you, others may wake up. You are proof that control is not complete, and that the system is not perfect. That scares them. So they observe you, they study you, and they try to figure out how to overcome your obstacles. But they will never succeed. They cannot understand that you not only fend off manipulation, but that you were never vulnerable to manipulation in the first place. You exude a reassuring but unsettling atmosphere. There is something about you that makes people feel differently, but they can't quite explain it. They are drawn to you first, as if there is an invisible force of attraction behind you. You give them a sense of security, understanding, and even peace. However, for some reason, they are also uneasy with you. They experience an inexplicable uneasiness, like being close to an approaching storm. This is because your being has several layers. On the surface, there is a warmth, an aura that makes individuals feel accepted and free to be who they really are. However, behind all this, there is something old, wild, and beyond the realm of everyday existence. They can perceive it even if they don't understand it. This is why they react to you in extreme ways. Some people want to be close to you for unknown reasons, like moths to a flame. They think that you get it, that you are on a frequency that they want to access. However, some people feel uncomfortable, even if they have never spoken to you. The reason people avoid you is not because you have done something, but because you make them feel uncomfortable. This is an unlearned and unapplied energy. It is embedded in you and exists beyond this existence. You carry the burden of knowledge that cannot be given, creation and destruction, wisdom and chaos. This is why people's reactions to you are never neutral. Some people may avoid you for unknown reasons, while others will feel vulnerable, safe, or desperate to be close to you. But one thing is certain: no one forgets you. It is scary that you are not trying to prove yourself. In a society where most individuals are always looking for approval, you are a paradox. You act as if you already know who you are and don't need approval to be who you are. People are really shocked by this. The majority of individuals derive their sense of worth from being accepted by others. They look to their achievements, social standing, or other people's opinions for approval. They shape their identity according to what will give them acceptance, recognition, and a sense of belonging. But you are just that. Because you don't need validation, you don't seek it. Your self-confidence comes naturally. It is not spoken out loud or forced. It is the kind of assurance that naturally compels respect without begging for it. This is where the fear starts. Because if you can be so much yourself without the approval of others, it makes others wonder, why can't I be? What do they keep going after? What fears do they have? People who are dependent on approval get very uneasy when they see someone who doesn't need it. Some people may admire your capacity to act without asking permission. People will think you are arrogant and will despise you for it. They will try to test you, poke you, provoke you to see if they can shake you. Because if they fail to do that, then their whole way of life and their search for external values will be a lie. And nothing scares individuals more than discovering that they have built their identity on a lie. People are forced to see themselves in you because you are a mirror. You reflect others not only in their lives, but also in yourself. And most people cannot cope with that. Your energy reflects back to you. People who are close to you see not only you, but also themselves, including their hidden truths, worries, anxieties, and talents. And such a thought is intolerable for people who are not ready to face their inner selves. It will inspire some people. After seeing their own potential reflected in you, they will be inspired to grow, change, and become a better version of themselves. But what about others? This reflection will be rejected by others. Instead of acknowledging their own pain, they will blame you for making them feel vulnerable. Instead of facing their own fears, they will declare you their enemy. People may attack you for no reason because of this. They project their flaws, worries, and unresolved feelings onto you because it is easier than facing themselves. Even if you say and do nothing, people react as if you provoke them, because their carefully crafted illusions are shaken by your presence. That is why they are watching you. Some people wonder why they feel so visible in your presence. Because your energy disturbs their comfort, others try to figure out how to destroy it. But whatever their motivation, one thing is always the same. No one can approach you without being affected. You change people for better or for worse. It is up to them to accept or reject this transformation. In any case, they will keep you in mind. There is no denying the invisible forces that support you. The things that should have destroyed you did not. There are inexplicable ways in which you are protected. Although life has tried to knock you down many times, you have managed to stand on your feet, sometimes even stronger than before. And people cannot ignore this. Even if they don't say it openly, they have seen the incredible coincidences, the close calls, the times when everything should have gone wrong and you managed to escape unscathed. They are uncomfortable because they cannot express it. They realize deep down that your survival cannot be explained by coincidence. Someone or something is looking out for you. Whether you attribute it to fate, divine protection, or invisible forces, it is clear that you are not alone in this world. Everything is coming together for you in ways that don't seem normal. Doors open when you need them. The right people come into your life at the right time. When obstacles should be insurmountable, they dissipate. That's why some people want to study you. They want to know how you continue to succeed. They want to know why you are always in the right place at the right time, and why nothing can bring you down. They may try to explain it or attribute it to luck, but the truth doesn't change. There is more here. You have never been and will never be alone. Your existence is important to forces beyond this planet. The more people try to solve yours, the more they realize that some mysteries are not meant to be solved. You are dangerous because you go beyond categorization. People like to be sure. When they see someone, they want to be able to identify them with certainty. They feel in control of their identity, location, and label, which allows them to travel the world without asking too many questions. But what about you? You will not be identifiable. You don't fit into the categories they have created to maintain order and predictability in reality. You are not fully owned by any philosophy. You are not fully owned by any system. You move through life without binding yourself to inflexible frameworks that give others a sense of security. That's why you pose a threat. If people cannot identify you, they cannot predict you. If they cannot predict you, they cannot control you. Have they ever tried to put you in a box? They have tried to categorize you in one way or another, to put you into a mold that makes sense to them. But you always break the mold when people think they have you figured out. When you break their expectations of you, they become even more confused. They are not sure whether they should fear you or worship you. Categories are the foundation of society. People have to conform to pre-approved identities in order to be more easily governed. When someone like you, someone who cannot be contained, appears, it creates a stir. Because if one person can exist outside the system, what prevents others? That's why they look at you. They have to understand that you cannot be imprisoned, that you refuse to stay in one place, that you refuse to accept the labels that are put on you. They see you as a disturbance, a break in the appearance of order. And the most frightening aspect? You don't even make an effort. In all equations, you are the unknown variable. You are not supposed to be here, not in this situation, not with your current attitude. People follow a script, a rhythm of how life should unfold. But there is something about you that contradicts this. You are the exception to the norm, the error of the simulation, the disorderly element that upsets everything. You don't fit into their calculations, so they investigate you. The confusion grows with every effort to identify and map your patterns. The more they study you, the less they understand you. Because you are a paradox, a contradiction that questions their entire understanding of reality, you are not a linear equation. Most people follow predictable routes. They exhibit observable thought, behavior, and evolution. But what about you? You do not act within the norms. You make decisions that deviate from accepted wisdom. You change too fast and too erratically. Even you don't follow predetermined patterns, so they cannot predict your next move. That is why you are a problem. Predictability is the basis of all systems. When someone like you comes along, someone who constantly defies expectations, the foundation is shaken. If you are real, their model of the world is incomplete. And this is frightening. You are seen by some as an anomaly worthy of scrutiny. To others, you are a disturbance to be controlled.
Yet one thing is always true. They cannot ignore you. They have to understand why you deviate from the plan. They have to understand how you continue to escape predictability. But what they fail to realize is that you are not the glitch. You are evidence of the overall flaws of the system. Even they are not exactly sure who is watching you. You already know that somebody is watching you, but the question is not who, but why. Because the deeper you go, the stranger it gets. Maybe it all started with people. People who showed an unusual interest in your life, your habits, or your existence. You felt interest coming from places you couldn't make sense of, and eyes on you that shouldn't have been there. Yet the feeling that something bigger is watching is more unnerving than the individuals themselves. Governments, organizations, and secret groups are some of the world's most prominent powers. Each has a way of watching people who stand out. Then there are the others, the ones no one talks about. The ones who leave no paper trail. The ones who watch, not because they are afraid of what you might do, but because they want to know who you are. The funny thing is, even they don't fully understand. They have monitored your activities, put you under surveillance, and may even have subjected you to tests that you are not aware of. But the more they scrutinize, the less sense it makes. All rational explanations collapse. Every effort to categorize you fails. That's when the real paranoia starts to kick in. Because if they cannot identify you or explain why you are the way you are, it indicates that something else, something bigger, older, and more powerful, is at work. Are you being manipulated? Do you have access to something they don't? Has the mechanism that governs this reality allowed you to slip through the cracks? They are not sure. They are afraid of it. They keep watching not because they are curious, but because they cannot afford to stop. Because if they look away, even for a moment, they might miss something important, something that could change everything. In the end, you are an inexplicable puzzle. They are observing you, evaluating you, and trying to piece you together. But in reality, you do not intend to be understood. You live outside the parameters that people use to interpret the world, outside definition and outside predictability. You are therefore the rarest of rarities, a mystery that defies explanation. Their categories were not designed for you. Their script was not designed for you to follow. Every attempt to categorize you ends in failure. Every attempt to follow your patterns leads to inconsistencies. You act in ways that defy understanding. You live out of control without effort, and you break patterns without trying. That is why they search. That's why they whisper. That's why people are always watching you. But the ultimate truth is that their obsession with you speaks more about them than about you. Your presence reveals gaps in their knowledge. That's why they ask for explanations. You are proof that the world is much more complex than they think, so they need to categorize you. You are a flaw, an unknowable factor in proof that not everything is in your control. What is the best part? They don't need your explanation. Let them observe. Let them question. Let them look for a solution that they will never discover. Because understanding is not why you are here. You are supposed to be here as you are, unpredictable, wild, and limitless. And they will never be able to accept this reality. If this has affected you and you feel the pressure of being seen, scrutinized, and misinterpreted, then you already know that you are different from everyone else. This means that this is just the beginning. Therefore, don't just blend into the background. Make yourself noticed. If you feel this vibe, please like this video. If there are others observing you, tell them in the comment section below. Subscribe if you are ready to go further. Because there is so much more to discover, I assure you. And let others who need to hear it know about it, because those who understand will feel it immediately. For those who don't fit the norm, this is more than a channel. It is a sign, a signal, a frequency. If you are here, you already know that you are not alone.